SLI scaling between one graphics card and two graphics cards. Does it suck or does it work? Well, we're going to take a look at that today. We have Grand Theft Auto 5. We have two GTX 1070 Ti graphics cards. The cards themselves are running at stock speed. The left-hand side of the screen is one card. The right-hand side of the screen is both cards running in SLI. We are at 4K very high detail. The CPU is an i7 8700K overclocked to a fixed 5 GHz. I do have that on a 280mm liquid cooler, and we have 16 gigs of DDR4 3200 MHz RAM. I am recording this using Nvidia Shadowplay, which I have not actually done for a long time. I usually use an external Elgato capture card, but not this time. This time I'm recording it on the computer being tested. This is important because it actually means that if you're not recording, it would run even faster than this. How much so? 5 to 10%, 5 to 10 frames per second faster, give or take. But that is an important consideration, that it is in fact being recorded here. Now, if you look at the performance numbers in the upper left-hand corner of each of the screens I am showing this side by side so you can compare them, you'll notice on the left-hand side that the second GPU is at 0%. I've disabled it in the control panel, but not physically removed it from the machine because why? You can disable it in the control panel. But that's why the numbers are so much lower over there. And if you look on the right-hand side, you'll see the numbers are much higher. Notice that the VRAM usage is very similar, about 5 GB each. It's going to be slightly different depending upon where in the game you're at, how long you've been playing, etc. But about 5 GB of VRAM, which for 4K very high is certainly not bad. You can see the clock speeds up there. Those are stock for a 1070 Ti. My card will overclock 200 MHz on the chip, but not consistently. 150 it will consistently do. 200 it works most of the time. Sometimes it's squirrely. Depends upon the game. I found some games and some benchmarks it does well. This one, I actually had it freeze when I had it plus 200, so I just put it back to stock because it's not a huge difference. Your individual cards are going to vary. How much performance you get is going to vary, but in this case, I just decided not to. So here are the benchmark results for Grand Theft Auto 5, 111.7 frames per second average on two cards versus 58.4 on one. That is incredibly good scaling. If every game scaled this well, every TechTube reviewer in the world would be screaming from the mountaintops at how wonderful SLI was. The fact that we're not should give you kind of a hint as to the fact that this doesn't scale this way across most games. Look at the minimums. The 1% low of 71 versus 31, that's more than double. That's incredible. Take a look at the 0.1% low, 49 versus 26. The scaling in Grand Theft Auto 5 is awesome. This is probably the best case scenario you'll ever see, to be completely blunt. It's great, but well, Grand Theft Auto 5 is effectively a 5-year-old game at this point. It scales fairly well. Take a look at the real-time performance numbers. We're currently getting about 60, 50, well, okay, there's 48 frames per second on the left, and we're getting over 100 frames per second on the right. A lot of games don't do this, but this one does. Now, at this point in my driving, I've diverged with where I'm going in the world, so the performance deviates at some point once you're doing different things. But I did make sure to test each of them for long enough. I got about 10 to 11 minutes worth of footage and testing on each one of them, so the benchmark was long enough to be real-world gameplay. It is worth noting that I no longer use Fraps to do any benchmarking. I use MSI Afterburner's built-in benchmarking. If you look right on the screen, you'll see 3 smaller FPS numbers next to the big FPS number. The one on the left, not the really, really big one, that's the real-time number, but the one second to the left, that is the real-time average number. The next one over is the 1% low, and then the one on the far right is the 0.1% low. And those numbers update in real time. They update less the longer you play because it's a larger sample size, but it keeps track of it in real time, which is pretty cool. I don't plan to do 20 games with this kind of test. I'll probably do 5. I'll pick out some newer ones. GTA 5 is an older game, and as you can see here, it supports SLI very, very well. It's not quite double, but it's pretty darn close. I'm going to show you a chart in just a second. But I will test some newer games, perhaps Assassin's Creed Origin, or actually Odyssey is about to launch, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Let me know in the comments below. I am voicing this over at the end of September. I am not going to do another one of these until after I publish this and get your feedback to see what games you want to see tested. Normally with something like this, I would test all 5 or 10 games, whatever I'm going to do, voice them over, pre-upload them, and then by the time you guys start leaving me feedback, I've already done them all. I usually don't readdress it at that point. But I'm going to do this differently. I'm doing one. I'm doing this one, which frankly I already knew did SLI pretty well. I've played with this before. But newer games, 2018 games. What games this year do you want to see tested in this SLI configuration to see what kind of performance benefit that we get? Once I test those, I might or might not make individual videos on all of them, but then I'll do an actual SLI review over on the main Tech Deals channel and actually put this up and maybe talk about it in a bit more detail. I do not have 2 of the new RTX cards. I'm actually recording this after the, oh, that's a pretty cool jump, after the RTX 2080 and 2080 Ti's launched. But I've only got one 2080, and I don't actually have my 2080 Ti yet, but I'll have that in a couple of days. So I don't have 2 of them, so I can't test the NVLink, the new replacement, quasi-replacement for SLI. My hope is that I get 2 of them and I can do it, but for all of you who immediately want to run to the comment section and say, why aren't you doing this? And, oh, that was pretty cool on the right. Why aren't you doing this on the 20 series? I don't have 2 cards, so I can't. At some point, we'll see how the reception to this and to the 10 series goes. My only thought there is, at least in the immediate future, the 10 series is a better deal. You can find 1070 Ti's brand new for, give or take, $400, maybe $350 if you find a deal. Used, you can find them for $300 and sometimes less. 2 of these for $300 would be $600. That is less than a new 1080 Ti, although it's not less than a used 1080 Ti. And in games that support SLI, this would be faster. This right here on the right-hand side is faster than a single 1080 Ti would be. Except, of course, in games where SLI isn't supported, in which case it would be slower, and, well, that's sort of why we're doing this. I don't really have anything else to add other than to say I hope you found this interesting, informative, useful, entertaining. Ouch, on the left-hand side, I got clobbered. I got run over by a car while I was trying to steal someone else's car. You guys have seen enough. Links in the video description below. A link over to my main channel, link to my usual stuff, Discord, Twitter, Twitch, etc. And comment down below. Let me know what you think of this. I'll read the comments. I'll see the views and see what y'all think. And we'll go from there on the SLI. This is something a little bit different because I haven't done the main review and I haven't done 5 or 10 other games yet. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks so much. Oh, and be sure to subscribe. I always mention that. Yeah, I know. I got to say, please like, subscribe, and all that stuff. But I think I'm about to steal a 747 on the right. That's not going to end well, by the way. We'll just end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. I will see all of you next time.